few weeks ago I opened my JLPT N4 exam results and I found that I didn't pass. But I am weirdly really motivated now to kind of restudy everything. Why wasn't I this motivated before the exam? Don't ask me, I don't know, but I'm just gonna use this energy and I've now created a new study schedule that I'm just gonna chuck myself at and do my best. So a few weeks ago, I actually asked you guys online if I were to restudy kind of like any of the three most kind of like common study textbooks, which one would you want me to create a study schedule for? And you didn't make your mind up. The options were Somakme, Shinkansen Master, or Genki II, and you guys didn't really choose. It was the same votes for Shinkansen Master and Genki II, so I just decided Genki II. So here we are, a Genki II ultimate study schedule. I'm gonna share it with you, and this is what we're gonna go through. Firstly, we're gonna go through Genki II and its overall structure, so what we've got to work with. And then I'm gonna move on to how long I think it's gonna take me to walk through the whole textbook. And I'm also gonna try and consider my own personal time constraints. I'm sure you guys have all your own personal kind of like time constraints or circumstances, so keep that in mind. Thirdly, I'm then gonna kind of talk about how I will engage with each of the lessons, which impacts the timeline of the study schedule. Then I'm going to talk about how I'm tracking it all, how I'm keeping myself accountable. And lastly, as my favorite point, I'm going to talk about motivation and how to kind of stick at it. Let's go. If you're following this and you're wanting to study Genki II, I'm going to make a bold, actually not so bold, assumption that you will have already studied Genki I. So you might actually already be quite familiar with the structure. I'll whiz through this. You have one main first big textbook, which I actually have digitally on my iPad, so I can't really nicely show it to you, but that's your kind of main book where all of the study content is in. Then you have a practice workbook where you can practice all of the study material in each lesson, and then you have an answer worksheet, which is both for Genki I and Genki II. Genki II overall has 11 lessons, which is one lesson less than Genki I, which brings me kind of to my next point on how long I think it's going to take me. So I think I'm going to take 14 weeks to do 11 lessons. Now 14 weeks is just over 3 weeks. Let me know what your first reaction was on that time frame. Does that kind of sound like a lot or a little to you? I've already shared some of my opinions generally on how I just don't really like this YouTube study tuber culture on how to kind of like whiz through textbooks really quickly, or go from N5 to N1 in 2 years, or do this textbook in like a week. I'm not really sure. I'm not a huge fan of that. I just think studying a language is so much more personal, and I don't know, especially if it's not your kind of like main thing in life. If it's something, I don't know, you know, let's leave that topic aside for now. Just let me know, what does it sound like to you, three and a bit kind of months to do Genki II? For me personally, I work full time and I go to the office most days, so I have quite a good chunk of time actually on the tube, you know, going on my way to work and kind of back to study vocab or kanji. And my plan is to always study on the commute, to take 1 hour on a Tuesday and a Thursday, which are quite good days for me personally, each, and then take 2 to 3 hours on either Saturday or Sunday. So overall, kind of like calculating and adding up all of that time, I would be spending round about 7 hours a week studying and engaging with Japanese. Again, let me know how long you would spend a week studying. I don't really know what sounds like a big or a small amount. Do you study full-time, or do you actually work full-time? And how much time do you give yourself to study? I'd be really intrigued to know. I think this next point is actually a really fun one, because I thought about this, not huge amounts, but I thought about this a fair bit. So how to engage with each of the lessons, basically. I'm going to engage with each lesson for 4 weeks. And the way I'm kind of doing it is the first week is all dedicated to ingestion and just taking it all in. So just learning vocab by heart, looking at kanji, learning kanji by heart, and learning the grammar by heart. So it's kind of just ingesting it and reading it and ingesting it. And then in the second week, I want to practice. So that's kind of like drill week. and then the third week will be kind of a little break, and I won't kind of engage with any of that lessons content. And then in week 4, I am going to do a test. I mean, with test, I kind of really just mean the workbook, but I really like using that as a little test to myself, where I time it and yeah, re-engage with everything that I've just given myself a week break on. So that's 4 weeks in total for each lesson, but obviously I would layer those lessons on top of each other. So I start with lesson 13 in week 1, and then in week 2, I drill lesson 13 by the ingest lesson 14. I hope that makes sense to you, but it kind of like overlays and overlaps, which ultimately gets me to 14 weeks at the very end. So yeah, that's the plan, 14 weeks. Again, I have no idea if this is much or little, but I'm kind of gonna like assess as we go. I'm gonna see how long I'm kind of like taking for each week and for each lesson, and if it kind of feels good or if it feels bad, I don't know. I'll reassess and see if 14 weeks still works. We'll have a halfway mark and an end mark and a buffer. We'll see. The way I'm gonna track myself is I have, I actually even don't want to say this out loud because I actually hate how cringily in Notion is at the moment. But the reality is I don't know, I love Notion and I use it at work and I've been using it for years and I really like it. So here we go. I have a Notion board called Nihongo Study Schedule, and the icon on it is an orange because I love orange. So basically what you should be able to see is a little Kanban board where every single week is one column. So I'm starting on May the 13th, woohoo, with lesson 13, and that's my ingestion week. So I'm literally only gonna, I'm literally only gonna read on and learn by heart lesson 13, vocab, kanji, and grammar. I've also got all the grammar points actually split out into cards because what I'm actually doing is I am tracking myself on how far in and how much I have completed learning in Genki II. And I haven't plugged this in yet, but my aim is that when I kind of mark all of the grammar points done, that I can also see how many of the grammar points I've covered in Shinkansen Master. But I'll do another video on that. You don't need to, I don't need to talk about that now. But I'm basically kind of, yeah, I've got every single week, I've got exactly what I need to work on. And if I move a card from one week to another, that does change my end date of the entire study schedule, which you can see on the right hand side, where it shows me my kind of study progress. I have quick links, drill links, and Bunpro links to all of the grammar points as well. So Bunpro, oh, I have so much to say about that. Someone once commented on my very old videos that I should go check it out, and I'm not going to talk about it now, but I have many thoughts. But I am giving Bunpro another go now, and I'm actually really excited. So Genki II with Bunpro, here we go. Now, to keep myself accountable, I have actually quite cringily asked a close friend of mine to, I know this sounds like really, I've just basically asked her if she could check in with me every week and ask me how it's going. Not in like an intense way or manner, but she was well up for it, and I think it just gives me a chance to every week have to almost tell someone what I've done. And I know that she won't be mad if I fail or if I haven't studied, but I know that there's almost a check-in point with someone who really cares about me and someone who wants me to succeed in this. And so I can just tell her, and there'll always be a checkpoint in a week where I kind of give a bit of a roundup of what's happening. And also, obviously, the fact that I'm filming this and sharing this on YouTube is also a bit of an accountability point, because I feel like, yeah, I want to share how this journey's been going and how the study schedule is doing. So yeah, those are kind of the two things. To my very, very last point, and my favorite one, we're going to talk about motivation. So what is actually going to make me stick to these 14 weeks? As we have realized, I don't know if an exam per se gave me enough motivation. Maybe it should have. I'm not really sure. I think motivation and knowing your why of doing something is super crucial. If you just lose your why, let's be honest, there genuinely isn't really a point. And something that is something like learning a language, when it's not really required of you to, the reality is I don't need to pass this exam, the N4 exam. I don't need it to get a job. I don't need it for any like anything serious. I'm genuinely doing this for for energy and for genuine fun. And so it's kind of a tricky one, I suppose. I don't know why you guys are studying Japanese and what is inspiring you and what is keeping you going. But for me, I think a big part, and something that I want to hold on to really tightly, is the fact that I want to learn more about my heritage. My grandparents are Japanese, but none of their culture and none of the Japanese language and kind of like culture has kind of trickled down to me, and I feel, yeah, that part kind of feels a bit like it's missing. And so I want to love my grandma, and I want to show her that I'm interested in her and that I want to honor her, and yeah, I want to be able to like chat with her. And yeah, she's actually she's not, yeah, I love her. I don't know how well she's been doing recently, and so I think that has now pushed me to just want to go hard again. So yeah, got a bit emotional at the end there, but here we are. That's the study schedule for Genki II. Now we're going to do a big cut. Comment below, just subscribe, come along with me, and let me know if you are studying it alongside me, because I'm starting this week, and I will let you know every week what resources I am using alongside the schedule, and I'm just going to share how it goes. So yeah, stick around. Thanks, guys.